Alright, so besides the fact that I don't know where to look at on this phone. Basically, the video you're about to watch was a Ford 8N tractor that my high school, Sheboygan Falls High School, shop class was building at the time. This was there my freshman year and sophomore year, but I believe I got this all taken care of one of those 2 years because the teacher left. I think it was right after that, or was fired or whatever happened. I don't know. I've tried reaching out to him afterwards, but never got a response back, which it is what it is. So anyways, this electric tractor was a Ford 8N gas, I believe. The advanced shop mechanics yada yada classes the couple years before had this tractor, and the only thing they successfully got done was making the 2 brackets over the rear axle for the 8 batteries that went there, and taking out the gas motor, scrapping it, and then building the rough bracket that held the big motor, the electric motor, and a couple other pulleys and stuff that we had to do. But that was really about all they had done. Basically, they were just a bunch of guys that goofed off in the shop class that didn't really care. They went through more scrap metal in practice welding than what was really even necessary for that kind of stuff. But hey, I got a chance to work on a really cool project. So, of course, before we got going on it, we had to do the assigned whatever curriculum basic shit, like acetylene welding and a couple other just small little things. And if we were advanced enough, according to and past that stuff, we could work on special projects. Well, I kind of worked it with the teacher that I didn't cheat the system or nothing. I did what I was supposed to. Learned what I was supposed to, all that fun stuff. Used some of that stuff on this tractor's project. But basically got it to where I could have that as my project for the advanced stuff. And so we went to Granger.com, got a bunch of different bolts, a bunch of different pulleys. You'll see on there's the big black box, and you see a little bit of a gray plate where the big pulley is. Well, we had to put a pulley on the motor, then we had to put that big pulley up there, and then a little pulley on the back side of that, plus a shaft, and then that ran down into the transfer case, transmission, yada yada shit of the physical tractor that was never untouched. Basically, they split it at the steering wheel, comes straight down. That's where the case splits, or the front of the case splits. Then the motor pulls away. Then we did all that with that special cage and stuff and made it back together. But we had to take a belt system to connect the motor into here because it wouldn't connect direct because the motor was off center and too low. Plus, this was just the best way to do it. Easier maintenance, stuff like that. Plus, then we could actually keep it tight because on that silver plate, we put 2 bolts that came up this way. And it would push the plate up or down to keep the belts tight. And then obviously we had a belt going from the motor to the big pulley, and then a belt going from the little pulley to the pulley inside the tractor. And that had a little bit of a reduction to it, not much. I can't quite remember if that 7-to-1 reduction was based off the motor's internal reduction or if that was off our pulley system, because that motor is meant to spin fast. Because it's an electric motor, like you'll hear the teacher say in this next clip, that it's meant to spin fast to stay cool. And I believe he says that it was a 7-to-1 reduction as well. I just can't remember if that was in the motor or if we did that with the belt system. Because I know we had to play with that to get it to work, doing the whole weird pulley structure, which it really wasn't that bad. It was just tricky. But hey, it's a nice project for some high school kids. Yeah, that's really about as far as I remember specifics on that. How we got into the project was a local organics farmer already had one made either by that teacher at a different school or at this same school. And I don't remember exactly because I never saw it. I've only heard stories about it, but supposedly he already had one made. this is going to be another one, but things are to be done differently, a little better on some aspects, which we, as far as I know, we met all the criteria. At the end of the video, I'll explain a couple of things we didn't get to, but as far as I understand it, we met the criteria. And if this one worked out right, there was supposed to be a couple more that the guy was going to have done. Now, this guy paid for all the stuff, like the school didn't pay for it, the teacher didn't pay for it, I didn't have to pay for nothing, all the student I should have had to anyways. Some schools make their students pay for stuff. It's dumb when it's standard curriculum. But shop classes and stuff, ag classes are becoming that way, which it sucks. Honestly, support your local school shop classes, automotive, whatever. I say support the stuff. It's awesome. And so, if this tractor worked out like it did, there was supposed to be a couple more to follow, but I don't, like I said, I don't quite know the details on that stuff. If he was going to build them himself, since we knew all the parts that we had, or what exactly was going to happen, because, well, I'll explain later on. The teacher just left or got fired, nobody really knows, and tried reaching out to him to say, hey, what's going on with the electric tractor? Because at the end of the video, I'll tell you, we didn't get it done. It was done except for the hydraulic system, which the guy wanted a plow motor done for. Because the plow motor, you got two switches, one for up down, or it's pressure up, weight relief down, and it's pressure left, pressure right. So you only have two switches, and that was going to give him somehow he wanted to have it so you had power up, power down, which doesn't really work on the Meyer plow motors, but that's how he wanted his hydraulic set up. So whatever. Kudos to him. We didn't get that done because he didn't supply us the plow pump at that time. It was actually getting rebuilt or something like that, if I remember right. And it was going to go to a specialist for that stuff because those are, I guess, tricky. I don't know. I messed with a bunch of plow pumps. I took them somewhere to get rebuilt, but I could mess around with the wiring and the diodes and all that stuff myself. But we had an electronics class, but it was just more so learning how circuitry works. And that probably would have gone to that class, except for the mounting and the plumbing and all that. But since he didn't, we also had to figure out how to make it work, because the 3-point was going to be the power up down, but he wanted the power left right to run actual outputs, which it doesn't necessarily work. It works, but it doesn't. It's tricky plumbing, which is another reason why I went to a specialist. So that's a little bit of the backstory on it. Like I said, I walked into a half-ass project, and we got it done by the end. You'll see in the end of the video. We even got it repainted. I'll pop in a couple more times throughout this little video and explain some stuff that was going on in the clips, and just kind of fill you in on stuff. I don't know. I mean, might as well. We built it as a learning project to do something like this, and I sure as hell had fun with it. If I could afford to build something like that, I'd do it. Or I'd build it for someone else if they gave me all the money. It'd be it really wouldn't be that tricky. Well, I don't have a lathe or mills or nothing, so it would be a little tricky. It'd be a lot of torch welding and plasma cutting. But yeah, we'll get to the video and you'll see me again. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe I'll wear the same clothes. Maybe I won't. I don't know. It all depends.
You want. They want.
Fire out. Fire it up.
That one off my drill.
It was working before. Sometimes.
Watch out, guys. Let's see if it goes forward. Perfect. Let me look at that pulley here. Let me watch it. That's perfect. It's just the outside flange is a little wobbly. Alright, you can pop it back to there. Off. Put her in first. See what happens there. Oh, you know what? You got it, yeah. so reduced, so geared down. The motor's made to spin fast so that it stays cool instead of going really slow using all the torque. What's that, low or high? That's low with first. Look how slow you can creep with electric.
Is that low?
It's reduced 7 to 1 off the motor.
Go drive around the parking lot.
So the motor would have to run it like.
He's just got a big smile on his face.
Right.
Pull up. It's up hands. Get the power stroke.
Good. Nice. So go to high. Does high work? Here, take off in 4th gear.
Only got third.
Sounds good.
Catch you, let's take her outside.
Looks good. Reverse. So far, so good.
Press and spray it. It's hot.
Good success for the first shot.
Take her to the lot.
Take her outside.
You know you
She's
want
gonna be. This thing's gonna be howling. Here, put it in neutral and rev it up.
Boom! Woo, woo, woo!
Get out the bonus go.
Full Prob.
Sounds like a fucking jet taking off.
I bet that thing
Okay,
can
hook chains, got you. Hook
That's
chains.
howling because this thing isn't reduced, or it's reduced so far, or
So it's straight.
it's all double control.
Hey, roll pull. That's hook chains.
How fast do you think it can go in this convention?
45?
Not very fast.
45?
I don't know.
It's so geared down.
70?
Hey, I think you can go.
Hey, I'm back. My ugly mug. Anyways, so yep, what he was putting together there is that red part in the beginning of the clip that he's putting together made a big click. Those are big cable connectors. It's got a positive and a negative, and then they slide over the top of the positive and the negative on the other side, in retrospect in their side of the connector, and then that energizes the current and whatnot. And we put that connector in there because that's how you disconnect it there. It disconnects the motor from the batteries, but it leaves the batteries to be plugged into a charger, and you can charge the batteries, and then you just disconnect the charger and you connect the motor and you drive. And then when he had his arm, or our arms were resting on that little armrest to our right side, there was a little thumb switch that it didn't have the little toggle on the end, but it was kind of like my glasses arm here. It comes up and it would stick above the armrest like that and say this was no power to the motor, that was no power to the motor, and like a little slider switch. And as we shoved it forward, it would send the little bit of current that it was sending to that big black box, and that big black box would convert or let it send the amperage through to the motor. So that way it was like wide open, dead. Wide open, dead, somewhere in the middle. Worked pretty good. I mean, later on in the other clips, you'll see that when we put it in low first and we barely crack that thing open to where it just sends enough power to turn everything, it's crawling. It's creeper crawling. It's not going anywhere fast. Like a snail was probably faster. Don't remember if we got that clip or not. I don't think so because I didn't see it when I was watching this through. But there was one clip that we had that I videotaped on either my phone or whatever, and I forgot to swap it when that phone broke or what with its SD card. And we had that where none of us were on the tractor and it was just creeping. Like we sat there and we're talking for like 5 minutes. It moved a foot. It's geared down. Like it don't do shit without you knowing about it. Also, that's kind of dangerous because you jump off and you don't have that damn trigger all the way back or that slider switch all the way back. Well, you're going to hear the whine. So I guess that won't matter too much. But it's just, you got to double check yourself. And we were going to put like a tension spring that always pulled it back, so you had to press against it, but then we decided against it. Because who wants to hold that little slider switch for 8 hours if he's out in the field doing little field work? He's got to pull levers or flip switches, because we were going to mount the plow hydraulic control system switches on that armrest too, so everything's right there like they are in the modern tractors. But, oh well. I didn't get to see that part done. I don't even know if it ever got done that way. I would love to see the tractor again, but I don't remember who it went to. I could probably reach out and ask, but I don't even know how to get a hold of that teacher anymore. That's okay though. Yeah, then there was that one battery way up on the front that was lower than everything. That battery we left at 12 volt. And basically that was to run any little 12 volt lights if the plow motors needed it, that, because otherwise everything else was 120 volt. And we did the whole positive and negative connector all the way down, so that was kind of fun. I think that's series wiring. I know what I'm talking about, but not the name, of course. Like everything else, like I swear to God, if my name wasn't on my driver's license, I'd totally forget about it. So yeah, anyways, that was really about everything I can think of. These first two clips, I'd like to thank my friend Danny that videotaped them for me. It's on my phone, but I just kind of handed him the phone, he recorded it. And then the very last clip, when it's all painted up and stuff, was at the time my girlfriend, or maybe we weren't dating yet at that time, however that worked out. Anyway, it was nice of them to film this stuff for me so I could play around on it a little bit and go from there. So enjoy the rest, and you'll see my ugly mug again, I'm sure. I'm sorry I'm breaking your phone screen. Okay,
All right.
Okay, just go straight back. Remember, you got bad steering, so.
Very bad steering, Ketchel.
Is that high or low? That's low. High. She's twerky.
She's twerky, man.
Twerky.
She's twerky.
It's a 3-speed, right? Can you imagine the torque of that thing?
Oh, whoa!
Just slam on the.
Slam on the what?
Just push the acceleration up.
Someone run over a car. Spin it like your ass a little bit.
Ketchel wants to run.
Then you want to go wheelie.
No. No. Dude, you know how bad a wheelie would suck on that thing?
First of all.
It would tip back so easily.
Listen to that torque.
Not hearing nothing.
Uh-oh.
What did you just pump?
PTO. Oh. I did don't, but.
Hey, quit jumping in.
Open her up!
Pop a wheelie! Pop a wheelie! No torque?
No, it's all torque.
It's no
We
torque.
do 7 to 1. It's made you just go this fast all day.
I don't see any torque. Top speed! Why would you use it for?
Clay.
Full throttle!
Hey,
Top speed, 2 miles an hour.
taping.
here, you take this thing. He's only got a half open. Yeah.
Seriously.
Clay, I think you can run with that, right?
That's what the doctor ordered right here.
You're down a lot.
Potential, so pull off right now.
The PTO on right
Yeah, I know.
That's this little guy underneath the seat. That's what I was. But it stays on no matter what I keep switching.
Well, this guy right here.
Potential, my truck can pull it.
What?
Pull off?
There, PTO's off. The other side.
I think my truck could pull this, and I got an S10.
Well, let's all just grab a rope and start running.
Another one?
Oh, put the 7.3 on the other end.
Chains? Potential hook chains? Gasser. My truck. Let's do it! Catch all, bet you $10.
Bet you $10 what'll win.
It's like putting a rear end with like a... The original, yeah, heavy was
You got the switch?
got no steering. Only got one car now. That was definitely high, right? Oh.
That thing's like dead too.
That thing looks good. Looks just the packaging. What is just so...
Alright, well, we're back. So now you watch that. I mean, it runs, it drives, does everything it needs to do. That PTO is being a little bitch. Not entirely sure why it kept turning on. I literally was moving the lever to off, and it was still on. So I don't know if, like, when he throttled down and stopped with the throttle completely off, that it gave it time to disengage, which would make no sense because the regular motor would be running. Well, you'd have a clutch. So maybe that's what it was. You needed the clutch to engage and disengage the PTO on those. I haven't ran one of those in ages. Yeah, that might have been what it was. But anyways, here in this last clip there, you saw it that it was all freshly painted up and whatnot. We did all that by hand. A lot of roller, little pin. We didn't do pinstriping, but we used pinstripe brushes for the lettering. But we had it all painted up, and that actually was in between school years. So we got everything done up, and then me and the teacher made some plans, and I went back on whatever day it was in the evening there when he had some time, and we played with it for a little bit. Just went around the lot, made it all looking good, because the next day it was going to the plow pump specialist or whatever it was. To be specific, I don't exactly remember word for word, but that's what I'm going to call it. So it run, it drove, Did everything we needed it to do, and it was good enough for what the farmer was doing. I don't really know what he wanted to do with it, but he wanted a green tractor because he had solar panels, all that stuff, from what I was told. Again, I never met the farmer, never saw the complex. He used hoop barns and was organic, I was told. I can't say for sure. I never saw it. Yeah. So anyways, it was a fun project, and a lot of my buddies and stuff were the ones that actually worked on it. We got it kicked out of there. Like I said, I can't remember if this was freshman or sophomore year. Over the head. So much crap in my personal life was going on around then that it just didn't matter to remember half of what things were. Just that things got done. That's all that mattered. Yeah, if there's any questions, I guess comment below. I can try to answer some. But sadly, when it was during the school class hours, we couldn't record on our phones. So when there was stuff that was recorded, which was the very first clip and the second clip, those were after hours, like at the very end of the day, study hall, whatever, or during the very end of our shop class or whatever, and I stuck my phone in just because that was a fun project. I was at least going to record the damn thing driving around. If I couldn't record the build process at all, it's at least going to be driven around, I was going to record it. And that was filmed back on like the old Galaxy S2 or 3 that I had. Yeah, that was a while back. It's 2021 now, so that was back in 16. Oh, I graduated 16. 14, 15, somewhere in there. Been a few years. Over the head again. Yeah, so anyways, thanks for watching. Like I said, it was a fun little project and whatnot, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You gotta get the throat moist. I watch a lot of YouTubers that lose their damn voice. They never drink water or fluids during the videos. I think that would help them. Now, I know I'm not a professional because some fat guy driving a truck that has a bunch of videos saved up from stuff he did in the past. But hey. Also, I have an OnlyFans, Big Green Farmer. It's not XXX rated stuff at all. It is literally a bunch of like 20-second videos I take every day on my random adventures. I edit them together on my phone at night and post them. It might be every couple of days, might be every day, might be once a week or twice a month. Depends on how much random stuff I record, because sometimes I'm just doing the same route back and forth on 75 from Michigan to Georgia, to Michigan to Georgia, to Michigan to Georgia. Really nothing changes, and that's when you start having problems. If you're driving down the road and it's the same route, nothing changes, you done fucked up, because something changes every time. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, we'll see you around.